you know how you have the boxes? All right, need to have that there in your notes. That's the quadratic formula. Those are A, B's, and C's. Remember, standard form of a quadratic is ax squared plus bx plus c, right? So it's the same A, B, and C. X equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Okay? And there is a song that goes to the Pop Goes the Weasel tune. We do have a couple of them we're going to watch real quick. You'll be singing that. It's the funniest thing. Y'all think you're too cool to sing the Pop Goes the Weasel song, but you'll remember it forever. There are students that come back after college algebra and they're like, I remembered that because the song came in my head. So it's pretty cool. We got a couple of different ones we're going to watch. Let me get it ready for you. We'll sing along here in a minute. That's right. Alright, this first one that we're going to watch is the one I usually use every year. These people dressed up like geeks to, make it, they thought they were making it funnier. But here it is.
Are you supposed to say something right now? Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
Okay, we're recording.
Y'all look at your paper where you wrote it down. Okay? Everybody ready? We're fixing to sing along.
Okay, we're recording.
X equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Sing. X equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Alright, now I got another one. Those y'all that are too cool to sing, it's not going to help you.
You don't even have to sing it, just say it.
Yeah, true. The singing is
Definitely
fun.
sing it. Yeah.
And who don't like fun?
Oh,
that's so tried. Man, I like that guitar. It's snappy. I don't feel that.
Plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. X equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. X equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. X equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. X equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a.
Okay, I'm
Yeah, that's enough. Alright, everybody got it in your head now?
Did you get something back your hair? Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. I just noticed. It looks good.
Alright, so x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So if I gave you this quadratic now that says 3x squared plus 4x equals 10. Okay, there we've got a quadratic that's supposed to be all in one line. My 3x squared looks like it's higher. 3x squared plus 4x equals 10. The direction's just going to say solve the quadratic. So after today, you're going to have lots of ways to do that. You can do it by graphing, which nobody liked that when we did it the first day. That's fine. You could do it by taking square roots, but that one you can't do that to because it's got a b, right? You could do it by completing the square, which is what we talked about Thursday. You could on that one, but it's got a 3 in the a spot, so you would have to divide everything by 3. Or now you could do it by factoring. I don't think that one's factorable. If I move that 10 over, I'm just reminding you of all the methods. I'll move that 10 over to put it in standard form. Your a times c would be negative 30. There aren't any factors of negative 30 that add to 4 that I can think of off the top of my head, so I could not factor that. Okay, so the final method today that we're going to look at, and it will work on anything, is quadratic formula. But before I can do the quadratic formula, I have to be in standard form, which means, like I said a second ago, I need to move that 10 over. So how do I move that 10 over? So we're going to have 3x squared plus 4x minus 10 equals 0. Now, I'm going to label my A, B, and C all throughout this process. What is my A? 3. My B? 4. My C? Negative 10. And make sure you get the signs that go with them. Okay? Now all we got to do is set that up and plug that in. So I'm going to say x equals negative b. My b was 4, so I put a negative 4. What if my b had been a negative 4? What would I put?
Positive.
Positive. Good. Okay, it's always the opposite sign. X equals negative b plus or minus the square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Okay? Now, we get to that part every year, and then people want to be able to plug that whole thing in your calculator. Do not do that. You need to break it down and do it, because you're going to get confused. Your calculator's going to get confused. Break it down into smaller pieces. What I do here, underneath the radical, I'm going to have negative 4 plus or minus the square root. 4 squared is 16. Okay, and this part will always be a positive. Okay, if you ever put a negative there, I might want to smack you. Because anytime you square something, that's something times itself, it always equals a positive. If you typed in, if this had pretend been a negative 4, if you typed in negative 4 squared in your calculator and it told you negative 16, it's because you didn't put a parentheses. Anytime we square a number, it's positive. Alright, now, the way I attack this, I've got a negative times a positive times a negative. That's what I'm looking at here, okay? So I know that negative times a negative is going to make that be a positive. 4 times 3 is 12, times 10 is 120. All over 6. Okay, so then that gets me x equals negative 4 plus or minus the square root. Now I'm adding underneath my radical. Okay, so from this to once we get here, we're looking at the square root of 136. Is that a perfect square? Something times itself equal 136, a whole number? No. Okay, so I know I'm going to jump up to 11 squared. Well, no, I need to list them all. Never mind, I can't do that. 1 squared is 1, 2 squared is 4, 3 squared is 9, 4 squared is 16, 5 squared is 25, 6 squared is 36, 7 squared is 49, 8 squared is 64, 9 squared is 81, 10 squared is 100, 11 squared is 121, 12 squared is 144. Okay, so we passed 136, it wasn't in there. So I'm looking for the biggest one of these that'll go evenly into 136. Will 121 go evenly into 136? No. All you're doing to check is you're just doing division. 136 divided by 100, does that go evenly? No. 136 divided by 81, does that go evenly? 136 divided by 64. 136 divided by 49. 136 divided by 36. 136, I know 25 won't. 136 divided by 16. 136 divided by 9. So it's got to be 4. So this is going to be x equals negative 4 plus or minus the square root. How many times did 4 go into it? 34 all over 6. Okay, what's the square root of 4? 2. So we got negative 4 plus or minus square root of 4 is 2. So that gets to come out. 34 didn't have a perfect square. It's got to stay in. Now, there's actually one more step I'm going to do. When we got to this all last week, we were done and circled it. But I can do one more thing. Not by 6. But what do all of my coefficients have in common? Right, I can reduce them all by 2. Right, everybody see 4, 2, and 6. I can reduce all that. So if I take a 2 out of all that, it'd be negative 2 plus or minus 1 square root of 34 all over 3.
You just divide everything by 2.
Yep,
So you
just reduced it all. Just reduced it all.
There's half my page.
Yeah, for real.
Oh,
that's just your answer?
Yeah, that's it. I got you, David.
I love when it's so easy, like, oh yeah, that's it. They're actually so happy. She's like, oh yeah, that's it. Thank God, you're good. Is there a good?
Quadratic Formula is easy as long as you can remember it and plug it in. The part where people will miss this is simplifying the 136. That's what people usually
What
miss.
happens if you have, like, if you can't reduce it? Then that's just your answer?
Like it doesn't go into all of them.
Yeah.
Alright, hold on. Let's get questions. David,
Alright, so after you got 4 times 34, what's that next step?
the square root of 4 was 2, so we brought a 2 out, and the 4 is gone now. 34 didn't have a perfect square, so it stayed in the radical. And then from there, we just reduced it all by 2. The 4, the 2, and the 6 all reduced by 2.
Why did you reduce it?
Because it's like reducing a fraction. They all had a 2 in common, like 2/4 reduces to 1/2.
Oh, so
Will they always
Yes.
reduce? Or
No, no.
Well, wouldn't the square root of 34 reduce?
You can't reduce underneath the radical.
Oh, okay.
Good question. Leave it underneath the radical. Once you've taken it, broken it down, leave it alone. Gracie?
So, can you always use quadratic formula?
Yes, it will work on anything. If it's say that again.
If you put it in standard.
Yeah, if you put it in standard form. If it's missing something, like if it's missing an A, you just put a 0 in that spot.
Oh, so you don't have to find A and then, like...
Well, you have to get it into, we had to move that 10 over. But like if it didn't have this piece, you would just put a 0 in that spot.
Oh, okay.
Alright, let's do another one.
I'm glad there's one that like you can
Works
do on
for
all of it.
Yeah.
Cause I'd be afraid like get like and stuff on the
Let's look at 25, got a big one there. 25x squared minus 8x equals 12x minus 4. Alright, what's our first dilemma?
there's an X on
You need to
Okay.
subtract 12x.
Good, it's not set equal to 0 because it's not standard form. So to move that 12x over, we would subtract it from both sides. What about that 4?
you would add.
Need to add a 4 to both sides. So it brings down my 25x squared. Make sure you add it to its like term. That's supposed to be a 12 there, dummy. Negative 8x and negative 12x is negative 20x. Is that right?
Yes.
And then there's not a like term to add that 4 to, so it's just stuck on the end. Okay, now are we in standard form? So what's our A? B and C. X equals negative B plus or minus the square root of B squared minus 4AC all over 2A. Now the dilemma with this one is obviously our A and B is bigger, which means we're going to have bigger numbers to deal with, but this still works out pretty friendly. When I wrote negative 20 squared, I put the negative 20 in parentheses for your benefit.
Do you have to?
No, but if you don't do it in your calculator, it's going to get it wrong.
Oh.
So that's the reason that I wrote that there. If you just type it in your calculator like that, that means do 20, your calculator thinks that means do 20 squared and then make it a negative, which would not be what we want.
So you just wouldn't have to put the negative in, you just do 20
Yeah,
squared?
that's what I do on my paper, but every year when I do that, people will say, well, why didn't you put a negative? They don't understand that a negative times a negative is positive, and it drives me bonkers. Bonkers, Cully. Drives me bonkers. All right, negative 20 squared. I know 2 squared is 4, so I need to add some zeros on that. So I got x equals 20 plus or minus the square root of 400. 4 times 25 is 100. 100 times 4 is 400. So 400 minus 400 over 50.
So that just
400 minus 400 is 0. What's the square root of 0? So I have 20 plus 0 over 50. So my final answer is 2/5. Now how come I only had one answer on that one? What happened to 2 answers?
Because your square root cancels out.
Well, didn't we talk about parabolas that only touch it one time? That's what this one would be, right? Right? Go with that? One solution. Because remember, when those that we found that had two answers, that meant it crossed the x-axis 2 times. So this parabola, if we graphed it, would just cross it 1 time.
What would the answer be if it didn't
It would have imaginary answers, which is what we did one day
Oh,
last
the
week.
I.
Mhm.
So, you do a quadratic equation, you're finding x-intercept.
Mhm. All right, give you one here. This one says x squared minus 6x plus 4 equals 0. Already put it in standard form for you. The answer will have a square root in it. See if you can get that. Go. Don't worry if you can't yet. I'm still going to help you a little bit more, but I want you to try.
And that song thing really does help.
I'm not as stupid as y'all think I am. I debated on whether I was going to play it live or make the video. I'm glad I decided to make the video. Y'all would have made me laugh or something. First one I made, I looked mad, so I deleted it and did one where I smiled. Dang, what are you so pissy about? Thinking about Macy, I guess. Just kidding.
Or did you read this class?
Just kidding. I can play some music while y'all are working if you like.
How good are you playing the drum?
What song you want me to play?
What songs do you know?
I don't know if that's completely in tune or not, but that was a Revelation song. That's the last song I played at church.
And I thought it was funny.
Everybody got it? Should have played that.
No.
I should have played the Jeopardy song. That'd have been more appropriate.
What is it? Oh, Miss Campbell's something else. You used to see her with Lacey and Abby. Abby gets in so much trouble for no reason. Like, we all sit together, which is an awful idea. It's me, Chloe, Mitchell, Chloe Dixon, Braden, Alyssa, Abby, and Lacey. It's not good. We always get in so much trouble. We're like, could ever see there at school, when on the other side of her, they're always quiet looking at us.
She doesn't read.
I have like 100 in psychology.
Can I take that as a period?
Yes. Yeah, 36 months, 6 months.
Just took off the
Yeah, I want to get that. It's like 32. Okay. How distracting is that?
We just find out about
What is A? What's our A?
1.
B
-6.
and C.
4.
All right, everybody okay on those? Okay, now my B is a -6, so when I do -6, that's going to mean it's going to be a +6. So x equals -b plus or minus the square root b squared minus 4ac. Oh, it's a 4 there, difference.
Okay.
4ac all over 2a. All right, so that gets me 6 plus or minus the square root of 36, and then
Coach Wright,
hey.
can I see Brooklyn Baker at your convenience?
Yep. That gets me 4 times 1 plus 4 is 16, so minus 16 all over 2. Okay, 36 plus 16 is 20, so we got 6 plus or minus the square root of 20. So we got to break down the square root of 20.
This is 4 times 5.
20 is the same as 4 times 5. 4 is the biggest perfect square. So this is going to be x equals 6 plus or minus, what's the square root of 4?
2.
2, so 2 came out. The 5 stays in.
Then you can divide everything by 2.
Right, and that's going to take the fraction out of that, isn't it? So Kylie's reducing all that by 2. So 6 divided by 2 is 3. 2 divided by 2 is 1 square root of 5. Now I can put that all over 1, but I don't have to. It means the same if it's just a whole number like that.
Well, you can simplify it even if the number doesn't go to the, even if like the thing you're dividing by doesn't go into the number and then.
Yeah, you don't simplify underneath the radical. You don't reduce underneath it. Once we did that 4 times 5 thing and wrote that down, you leave it alone. You don't reduce underneath that. It's kind of like its own term. Its own
So at that point, you're done with
Yes.
it.
David.
Can we do another one?
We're going to do a couple more.
Can we do one where it's not in standard form?
Yeah. Yeah. No, that would be 32 or below, probably. Jeez Louise.
Oh, it's cold. My hands, I can even feel my fingers right now.
Yeah, try stepping in his toes room. It's like 10 times worse than this.
I was learning that from college. She's like, "Get your jacket off."
I know,
was
she's
"It's
like-
in the jacket."
I know, she's like,
And it's
"It's
not
not
that
that
hot. And she was like, "It's flammable." I was like, "Yeah, well, it's tank top on. I can't just." She's like, "It's not that hot."
So
in
we're
here."
just
I'm
gonna
like,
have
"It's
separate.
sweating."
Y'all hear that?
Yeah.
Someone's fixing to bomb us.
It's like an airplane.
I'm not going to get down underneath the table. 2x squared plus 4 equals -7x.
Yeah, there was like 3 helicopters that flew like really close to the ground, like they flew like they were going this way over my house. It was weird.
See what you can do. Try it.
Oh.
times 2 is 8. Oh, that's right. Okay, but that's a minus sign.
Yeah, but it was negative 32.
Right, so it'll be 49 minus 32.
Oh, I just thought. Shoot.
But in reality, yeah.
Not yet.
Hold it in.
Just saying you're the way.
Yeah, I'm just kidding too. But you should probably hold it in right now. Just a thought.
Hey, thanks for the tip. What would you do if a kid asked you to go to the bathroom? You said no, and then just like peed.
Like they just stood up, looked through the eyes and peed their pants right there.
It would be unfortunate for them. They got
Like we
weird
said, what if
big
she
pants
asked, what if
on.
I asked her to go to the bathroom and she said no, and they stood up, looked through her eyes, and then peed their pants, like while looking at her.
Okay, that is weird.
That would be the most embarrassing thing in the whole wide world.
I feel like Chloe Mitchell would do that just to be funny. Like Chloe Mitchell would do the craziest things just cause.
Yes, quadratics test. That's what
I had my 5 gum and every single
Yeah, it's
like you when we have there, one said Colorado and Washington.
it's like it gives them a floor. Instead of walking and talking about things. Everyone looked at us.
Were you in the hallway that one day when she was like, you're one of them?
Okay, sounds like y'all think you're done.
I'm done.
Shh, what do we do first to get it into standard form? Now, when I add that 7x, standard form, the x comes second, so I'm going to go ahead and put that second just so it doesn't confuse me. So now I know what is my A, my B,
7.
and my C. So, here we go. X equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Alright, so that's 7 squared in there gets me 49. And then this 4 times 2 is 8 times 4 is 32, but there was only that one minus sign. So it stays a minus there. All over 4. 49 minus 32 is 17. Alright, so how do I break 17 down?
It's only 1 times
Can't.
17.
Right, it's prime. It can't break down. How do I reduce 7 over 4? You can't. So
That's just your answer.
that's your answer.
I like that one.
I do have a question though. So if it was plus 32, could it reduce down to?
Yeah, that made it a perfect square.
Yeah,
the
so
way you
then
had
it
it.
wouldn't. It would just be 1/2 then.
Well, you would have to do,
Because negative 7 plus 9.
and then you would also have to do a negative 7 minus 9. Because
But
your
why?
plus, because that's what your plus minus sign means.
Oh.
When you get, and we'll do one in just a second where you do, when you get a perfect square there, you got to do this plus it, and this minus it. You got to do the plus and minus sign.
Oh, okay.
We'll do one of those here now.
I just wasn't sure because it can like a square root can only be a positive, so I didn't know if yes.
Right, well, we can have eyes. We're going to have an eye here in just a second.
Okay.
I'm gonna be singing that song all day long. Yeah. Just be walking down the hallway.
Alright, this is one, I want you to try this one. We're going to look at this one, and I got to add one more step after that where we get some eyes. This one doesn't have eyes, this is real. But this is one where you're going to find a perfect square, so your radical's going to cancel out. So I want you to see if you can find your 2 answers. Go.
Is this gonna be a long process?
Nope.
Ooh, yeah. I like those books.
So now you gotta do 2 plus 1 again after, and then 2 minus 1 again after. What you got, sir? What's the square root of 4? So you bring that out. Unless you don't have radical left at all, so it's not perfect square. Here we go. Now that negative 4 in front should be a positive 4. Because your B was negative 4. So you do negative. So now you gotta do is you gotta do 4 plus 2 and divide by 2. Or 4 minus 2 and divide by 2. Alright, I've got my A, B, and C labeled already, so I'm going to start plugging it in. Are y'all ready? X equals negative B plus or minus the square root of B squared minus 4AC all over 2A. Now, I skipped 2 steps there. First thing I did was I went ahead and did B squared. Y'all alright on that? Second thing I did is I went ahead and did 2 times A, because that was an easy one, 2 times 1. Alright, now that gets me there. You already, the 4 times 1 times 3, so I've got 16 minus 12. 16 minus 12 is 4. Okay, this one was what was different. This is what Kylie was asking about. That square root of 4 is 2. It's a perfect square, so you don't have anything left underneath the radical. So I have x equals 4 plus or minus 2 divided by 2. Now, I saw y'all do this 2 different ways when I was looking at your papers. Some of y'all went ahead and divided it all by 2. Okay, so I saw some people that had 2 plus or minus 1. Some of y'all divided by 2 last. Doesn't matter, you'll get the same answer either way. For those of y'all that divided by 2 first, that just means you have 2 problems to work. X equals 2 plus 1 and x equals 2 minus 1. You had to do the plus and the minus. So you should have gotten 3 and 1. Those of y'all that divided last, you would have 4 plus 2 divided by 2 and 4 minus 2 divided by 2. 4 plus 2 is 6. 6 divided by 2 is 3. Same answer. 4 minus 2 is 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1. Same answer. So 3 and 1 were your solutions on that. Most everybody I saw was on the right road. How'd you do? Alright, let's...
It doesn't matter that we're doing
No. Let's look at where we get a complex answer. X squared, do this one together, plus 6x plus 15 equals 0. That says x squared plus 6x plus 15 equals 0. What's my A?
1,
B. 6 and C. Alright, so we're still using quadratic formula the whole time on this one today. That's the only, well, you could do completing the square on this one, but it'd be harder. Quadratic formula would be the only way to do this. So here we go. X equals negative B plus or minus square root B squared, I wrote what 6 squared is, minus 4AC all over 2 times 1, 2A. Alright, now I know underneath that radical on the right side of that minus sign, 4 times 1 times 15 is 60. Right? So I'm looking at 36 minus 60. So that tells me already that I'm going to have an imaginary number. 36 minus 60 is a negative number. It is negative 24. So I got x equals negative 6 plus or minus the square root of negative 24 all over 2. All right, negative 24. What's the biggest perfect square that'll go evenly into 24? 4 is it. Very good. So let me just work with negative 24 right now. That's going to be the same as negative 1, because it's got a negative, times 4 times 6, right? Square root of negative 1, I. Square root of 4 is 2, and then that 6 is still left in there.
Hold on, we leave it there for you? Wait, yeah, that's close. So basically, oh my gosh, that scared me.
Scared me too.
What'd you do?
I was just like tracing this thing, and I guess I hit a sensitive spot. I don't know.
It did not
So
like it.
if you have like a negative number, it'd just be negative 1 times whatever.
Alright, so all this 2i square root of 6 is what negative 24, the square root of negative 24. I haven't written it all fancy yet. It would write as x equals negative 6. I'm just plugging plus or minus 2i square root of 6 all over 2.
Is that simple?
Yeah. Alright, so everybody alright where we are? Now, my negative 6 and my 2i and my 2 all have a 2 in common, don't they?
Oh, yeah.
So I'm going to divide all that by 2. That'll give me negative 3 plus or minus 1i square root of 6.
It's going to be hard to remember not to simplify. You know, it's probably
Alright, let's try another one of those. We got that one? This one says 6x squared minus 2x plus 1 equals 0. Okay, we'll do this one together. What's my A?
6.
B. Negative 2 and C. Alright, y'all ready? X equals negative B. It was a negative 2, so I put a positive 2. Plus or minus the square root of negative 2 squared is 4. Minus 4 times A times C. All over 2 times A, which is 2 times 6, which is 12. Alright, so that gets me 2 plus or minus the square root of 4 minus 24. Right? Everybody okay on that? Alright, so let's break down the square root of negative 20. I know it's negative, so it's going to have a negative 1. What's the biggest perfect square that'll go into 20?
4.
It goes 5 times. So what's the square root of negative 1? What's the square root of 4? 2, and the 5 has to stay. It doesn't have a perfect square. So we've got x equals 2 plus or minus. Instead of square root of negative 20, I'm going to put what that was over here. 2i square root of 5 all over 12.
Divided by 2.
Now the 2 and the 12 can reduce by 2. Now I can't just leave this off. 2 over 2, 2 divided by 2, I have to put that 1 there.
Oh.
Because 1 plus something does change it, right? 2i divided by 2 is 1i. 12 divided by 2 is 6. That's it. Alright, what you think?
Pretty easy. I like that.
What I'm planning on having for you tomorrow is just an assignment over solving quadratics, and now you can do it any way you want.
Yay.
Do it factory, completing the square, quadratic formula, any way you want. Okay?